Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Preacher, Mumbai Sky Tower. And this was another good episode. It's really shown that they've able to tighten up what's going on in the story, but also keep all the batshit crazy things going on. So, it begins where the last episode ended off with Jesse confronting the Saint of Killers. Saint of Killers drawing his gun on him, and he shoots at Jesse, and we see this cool shot of the bullet traveling towards him, while out of nowhere, this truck driver drives up and pretty much gets in the way of the bullet, gets his head blown in, and through just sheer craziness, drives back and hits the Saint of Killers. And Jesse, of course, goes up, sees nothing going on, like, oh, okay. Meanwhile, the whole gun association that was also having their kind of thing at the inn that they're at comes out with all their guns and everything. It's like, what the hell is going on? So, of course, Jesse goes towards them, but then the Saint of Killers is not stopped by this truck ramming into him and starts going there, and Jesse uses Genesis to tell all the gun people to try and stop him. And we just see crazy insanity as they're shooting at him, a grenade launcher going off and everything, and it's like, oh, okay, they did it and everything. And no, they didn't. He gets up, he shakes out all the bullets, and then just starts killing people indiscriminately. And Jesse has to say twice using Genesis for them to run. And of course, Cassie's like, we gotta get out of here, we can't stop this dude. Seeing all the, kills going off, and they run to go get Tulip. And Tulip is just sitting in a room watching the TV, and they find out that their town has been destroyed. And they're all just like, this is crazy. And how they do it is pretty funny. Because we see all hell breaking loose in like a war zone. Jesse comes in like, Tulip, we gotta go. And then he sees what's on the TV and stops. And you see everything going on in the back. And Cassie's like, come on, we gotta go. And it's like, oh, okay. And seeing people shooting off and yelling and everything. And they end up in a vending machine room. And they're just like, what are we supposed to do? And of course, Saint of Killers is like really close by, kicking in doors, killing people. And this dude just walks in, has his arm blown off, and tries to get a root beer. And he's pissed off because he's like, I pressed root beer and gives him a ginger ale. And he's like, give me some quarters or whatnot. And generally being an ass, kind of, even though he's still shell-shocked, that he's not in a completely shell-shocked state, but he doesn't really give a shit at the moment that he doesn't have his other arm. And Jesse uses Genesis to tell him to be quiet, and he's like, okay. And they're able to escape the room, and the Saint of Killers bashes the dude's head in because he was annoyed with him. So they're able to speed off, and the Saint of Killers continues his trek on after them. So they're stopped at a gas station, and it's pretty interesting seeing them trying to deal with what's going on. And Cassidy's theories are three. That it was Terminator sent to kill one of us, that it's Terminator 2 and he's sent to kill all of us, or he's a Nazgul fellow writer and that he really likes the Lord of the Rings films. And while they're having this conversation, this family goes by with the amazing Ganesh on their t-shirts and all that, and he's like, wait a minute, Jesse, I got an idea. And he's like, if you say Gandalf, I'm gonna hit you. And that was just great, having just the organic chemistry of them going through that. He's like, no, I saw one of our angel buddies on the TV. So, of course, Tulip's finished up gas and everything, and they go off to the Mumbai Sky Tower, the casino that he's at. And then we get background of what has been going on with the guy who's the amazing Ganesh, Fior. And we see that he had gotten back from hell, waited for a bus, went to the casino, and we're just kind of like staying there. He was looking at a picture of his friend LeBlanc, and he hangs himself. And of course, he immediately respawns in the bathroom, because after you immediately kill an angel, they come back. So he's doing all these things, pretty much trying to kill himself all the time. And it's just interesting seeing the scenarios, him gambling, suffocating himself, and just trying all these different ways. It's like, sweet God, he has no escape from this sadness, and it's just like, holy shit, they're just going through all these ways, killing him, kind of similar to like Supernatural, where he used the episode and they killed Dean all those multiple ways. So he's doing that. He has sex with a prostitute, gives her all of his winnings from the gambling, and then shoots himself and keeps doing it. And he gets to the point where he goes to watch one of the shows, eating and drinking and everything, and the dude uses a mic, he's singing songs and all that. He takes the mic, puts it in the ice bucket, electrocutes himself, and then of course he respawns behind the stage, comes out, and everybody thinks it's an act, and they start applauding. That is how he becomes the amazing Ganesh, and it just goes through showing that he has been killing himself as entertainment, and he's got a following, and it's similar to the Prestige, kind of, except it's not. In that, in the Prestige, the dude's kind of got like clones or whatnot that he kills for his magic acts. And this, he's just killing himself and coming back, and nobody's none the wiser. They think it's just fake or whatnot. Seeing him having his head chopped off, him getting shot with a crossbow, eventually getting up to the point where they're like shooting cannons at him, and we see our three heroes come in, and they're dragging like the body across the stage and trying to clean it up. It's like, okay, did you guys end with good terms on this guy? I'm like, kinda not really. So, we'll have to see what's going on. So, of course, they go and try and convince Fior to help them. And, of course, Jesse calls him the wrong name, and this kind of, like, pisses him off, and he's like, I don't really care. And Jesse's like, well, I can compel you to get the Saint of Killers off, because evidently there has been mythology around the Saint of Killers. And he's like, no, go ahead, try that. He's like, he's tracking me by the word. It's like, yep, you used Genesis stupidly, and Genesis needs to be destroyed, so that's why we're using the Saint of Killers on you. And I would help you, but guess what? I don't care. And you see that Fior has kind of lost his lust for life because of losing his friend. And, of course, Jesse's like, I'm going to beat the crap out of him. And he's like, no, it's alright. We got it. Let me do my thing. Give me like 2 hours and 45 minutes. See a clock go down. It's like, okay. And, of course, this is kind of where it diverges. We see Jesse kind of talking with Tulip and all that, and kind of getting his ideas together. We get to learn that Tulip is sad that Walter's dead because she had a, like, bring your daddy to first grade day, and he did come, even though he was a drunk and falling down and throwing up and all that, but he showed up in a suit and tie. That was the only time he did that, but she does kind of feel some loss. And this propels Jesse to kind of stupidly propose to her. And she's, like, pissed off at first. She's like, that's the stupidest proposal ever, and don't you think that marriage is stupid? I'm like, no, I think that's what you said. And this is, of course, once they had, like, banged in the bedroom and kind of just going through their usual courses of action, but they kind of get on the idea of getting married. Also, while that's going on, we see at one point that Jesse is able to kind of get the idea of how to follow God, because Fior didn't know that God was missing and didn't have anything to really kind of point them in the right direction to finding God. But his one assistant, who was the singer, was talking about music and all that, and jazz kind of was in Jesse's head. He's like, I kind of figured out where to go next to find God. So that is then kind of like where we're left with that portion at the moment. Then we see Cassidy's whole kind of deal with trying to like deal with Fior. At first I thought he was going to torture him because he had an apron on and a blowtorch, but he was just going to get him drugs and pretty much trying to be his friend, which was an interesting kind of tactic for Cassidy. And you see him, it was funny because he's like, alright, let's do the speedball. The first one goes in your main line, so he injects him in the neck, immediately kills him with an overdose, and he respawns. Like, okay, less heroin. And then he gets the mixture right, and you see him doing all this crazy shit while under the influence of, like, speed and all that, and doing all different kinds of things, but you see that Fior is really enjoying himself and having a friend, and that he's telling Cassidy that DeBlanc was his best friend. They did everything together. Yeah, they would yell at each other, but it was cool. And then seeing him reading his Archie comics with Cassidy and them talking about the frickin' foreskins again. And it's like, hey, we could be in this ice cream. It's like, yeah, people talk like that. But Fior kind of opens up and is a little bit happier and everything. And then, of course, brings them to Jesse. They kind of work out their repertoire and all that. And of course, this is around the point where they're getting ready to do the marriage. They go for a buzzer, but Tulip sees someone across the room. And his name is Gary, because she goes to the room to change her shirt and all that as a pretense, and talking to him and all that. And evidently she's linked up with this dude named Victor. And he's got slots in Texas and all that. And she really doesn't want to talk to him, but Gary is pretty much saying, you have to. Then we get this pretty interesting fight scene where he's pretty much got her in a stranglehold and is trying to call Victor, and she's fighting and everything, and eventually he's able to get the upper hand and hit him on the head, take out one of his legs, and just beat the unholy crap out of him with the buzzer, which then buzzes, and we see Fior with Jesse, like, ready and standing there, and Cassie's like, what the? He walks into the room, he's like, what the hell's going on? So they go downstairs, and Tulip's like, you know what, this is a stupid idea, we're not going to do this. He's like, okay, whatever, that's fine. And then Jesse's able to kind of, like, bring up the idea as they're kind of getting ready to leave that New Orleans would be the place to go. And Tulip doesn't seem very enthused with the idea of New Orleans herself. So there's something going on there. It's like, but she was like, of course, in the car at this point, Jesse was more talking to Fior about it, and Fior just trying to tell him to not use this. Of course, he had kind of promised to try and get the Saint of Killers off of them, but that isn't how it really works out, because as they're getting ready to go off to New Orleans on their new kind of trek to try and find God, Jesse uses Genesis to tell him to find peace. And, of course, like anything Jesse tries to do with this kind of thing with Genesis, it does not work out as well. Because we had seen that with Eugene, which they even brought up as they were at the altar, and Fior's like, I'm not helping you with that. And he's like, well, I still gotta get Eugene out of hell. So that's a thing that's gonna be going on in the back of Jesse's mind. And, of course, Fior's in his dressing room and everything, and the Saint of Killers comes in. And he's like, we're still on with our deal? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, all right, tell me then. He's like, they're going to be heading to New Orleans. And he's like, can you help me leave this place? So he goes on the last act as the amazing Ganesh, and the Saint of Killers shoots him, kills him, and that is how Fior is able to find peace. Jesse needs to really think out how some people want to find peace when he's giving that, because peace to one person isn't peace to another. This, for Fior, his peace was to be dead because his best friend was gone. And he didn't see any meaning in life for that. He was just doing all these things. He couldn't kill himself, but there was a tool that could end his life and his existence and maybe reunite him with his friend, possibly. And, of course, that makes sense for him to take that way. So now the Saint of Killers is just, alright, he's got this blanket statement that probably would apply to all angels at this point then, that if he's able to kill Genesis, he will get his family back. So he's got no one to go to stop the contract or anything, and that's going to be pretty interesting. Because he can't use the word to compel him or anything, or change his mind, or get him to do anything. And the Saint of Killers isn't going to stop at the moment, so it's going to be interesting to see them butting heads and actually conflicting and seeing how Jesse's going to be able to handle him and what the Saint of Killers is going to, if there's anything that would make him stop, because he's trying to get his family back. So that's kind of where it's left off, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting to see how they get there, what's going on in New Orleans, how they're going to get on God's trail from there, and what's going to be happening. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.